Well, as they say in North Philadelphia, y'all are looking good this morning. And I brought some warm weather from California because I was here last week and it was 10 below zero with a wind chill of about 20. So I told Trista, I don't know if I can make it back here. But everything was good. And y'all drank that coffee and y'all was all drunk up about an hour ago. Now that coffee's wearing off, so y'all stand up and say hello to somebody. See how the energy in a room goes up when people get a chance to participate? See what I mean? That's one of the fundamental principles of learning. Rather than lecturing to people all the time, we need to give them a chance to participate. Now, there's three pieces I want to add to my bio. And Lisa mentioned one of them, and that is Prince's mother, a young woman whose name was Mattie Del Shaw. And she and I used to hang out. And if my mother had not shipped me to California, I would have been Prince's father. And I wouldn't have had to go to school 11 years to become a jive-ass clinical psychologist. And then I had one other girlfriend that I forgot all about till Miss Pettiford sang, and her aunt was one of my girlfriends. That was my past, but my mother wanted to get me away from around here. And the second piece that Lisa forgot about was that I was the original sunburnt Swede from Minneapolis. And how I got to be a sunburnt Swede was 75 years ago, I started kindergarten in the Minneapolis public school system at Washington School, which was torn down by the freeway. But anyway, I was the only little black boy, colored, whatever we were, in the class, and when the little boy's mother, one little white boy's mother came to pick him up, he told his mom, there's a brown boy over there that's in my class, what happened to him? And the mother said, well, God was baking some bread, and he left him in the oven a little too long. So then I became a sunburned Swede, right? And then I was out in California skipping and dipping for 50 years. I left here when I was 17. And I ran into Reverend Jessica, who's sitting over there somewhere. Where is Jessica? The minister, that lawyer, there she is. And I ran into her and we got talking, and there's only 1 degree of separation between black people. So she asked me what I was doing, and I told her I was getting ready to move into assisted living because I was retired. And she said, well, you look like you got some work left in you. So then we kept talking, and we found out we was both from Minneapolis. So she said, well, I'm going to bring you back here and give you a little job in retirement. And I was appointed as a visiting professor at what you all call the U. Now, I lived 4 blocks from the U growing up, but I never attended there one day, and they have some problems explaining that to me. You know, every time I asked them what happened, why I had to go all the way to California to go to college, people start turning red in the face. I'm just asking them a simple question. I lived 4 blocks from the school. They had a place called General College for white kids. Black kids wasn't into you then. And I know I could have passed Psych 101A. I know that. You know, I may not be the greatest genius, but they couldn't never explain it to me, so maybe one of y'all can explain it to me out in the hall. But anyway, I'm back here. And 75 years ago, I was a kindergartner in this school district. So something good must have happened to me. And I am African American, I am male, and I am from a single parent family.
Wow.
Right?
All right.
So some of y'all who've studied psychoanalytic psychology, you need to lay me down on the couch and figure out what happened. How did I I to land on my feet at 80 years old, back here in this community. And also, my mother was on welfare at that time because my parents got separated and divorced, and then they trained her to be a nurse's aide at the old Sister Kennedy Institute, yeah, and so forth. So that's another thing. So now y'all got to figure out how I ended up standing up here. All right. So now today we're going to talk about the future. This whole thing has been about Youthprise, the future, the potential of these young people. And where we are now in the history of African Americans, and this is African American History Week, so I don't want you running around here saying I left people out and I didn't talk about this group and that group. This is African American history. So I'm going to talk about African Americans today. Like y'all can talk about diversity tomorrow. Today we're down with the brothers and sisters. Y'all with me? Yes. So as we talk about these youth, the last challenge remaining in America is taking charge of our destiny. Yes, sir. That is the challenge now of the 21st century, of taking charge of our destiny as African American young people. And I remember the words of the late John Fitzgerald Kennedy that he spoke some 53 years ago in the summer of 1960. He was standing in the Los Angeles Coliseum, and they faced him toward the setting sun. And I remember his words that I'll paraphrase. He said, "Today our concern must be for the future. For the old order is done. The old ways will not work in this changing world. We face a future of unknown opportunities, a future of unfulfilled hopes, a future of unfulfilled challenges." Those words were spoken by our late president 53 years ago as a candidate for the presidency of the Democratic Party, and they are as true today as they were 53 years ago. Our concern must be for the future. A future of unfulfilled hopes, a future of unfulfilled promises, a future of unfulfilled challenges. And our youth need our support to get there. And my thesis today is, to get there, we need to help our young people draw on the strengths and the wisdom of the past. Draw on the strengths and the wisdom of the past. That's what got y'all here. All right. So they need to learn what those strengths are and how to internalize them and utilize them. Now, as I understand it, and Mahmoud left from around here, he's a historian. He said he had to go somewhere to another black history. Mahmoud is running around here teaching us history and said, we've been here about 400 years. We won't argue about the exact date, okay? Because historians get all mixed up. But we did come here aboard a slave ship in 1619, and as the late Malcolm X used to say, we didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on who? It landed on us, baby, big time. And we've been through two major periods of black history to get here today. The first piece lasted, as I understand it, something about 250 years. Y'all was in slavery. That was the first period. But y'all got tired of being slaves. I don't care whether you was house, field, or yard Negroes, cooking and carrying on, cutting the master's grass, and serving his dinner. Well, y'all got tired of that. And y'all wanted up out of there. Let me tell you, y'all worked with Abraham Lincoln and some other folks, and y'all saw that movie, not didn't sign the Emancipation Proclamation, but they also got the 13th Amendment and abolished slavery and said y'all is free, right? Now we had a young man up here ahead of me talking about technology in the 21st century, right? Well, they didn't have that kind of technology then, all these smartphones, cell phone, whatever. So he signed the Emancipation Proclamation, as you know, on January the 1st, 1863, which was 150 years ago. Am I right? Is my math right? 150 years ago, right? But the word of freedom didn't get down to Texas for 18 months. So they didn't have smartphones. So the brothers and sisters out in Texas didn't hear here to June 19th. And y'all been running around here celebrating Juneteenth. Well, that's how that came to be. So y'all been eating that barbecue, you know what I mean, on Juneteenth, collard greens. They probably served some out in the parking lot right out there. And y'all are slurping them ribs and so forth. But that's how Juneteenth came to be. So y'all got up out of there. That was the first period. It took 250 years, but y'all made it up out of there. But then another 100 years went by, and as all of you know, we had both de facto and de jure segregation. De jure by the law, as Jessica knows, and then de facto, it just happened. Now, I don't care how many PhDs, MDs, LLB, MBA y'all had, y'all was riding on the back of the bus. All of y'all wasn't Rosa Parks, don't tell me that. When I was in the military, I rode on the back of the bus in Louisiana and Mississippi, and I did not jump up and tell the man I wasn't going to sit back there either. I paid my fare and I walked around the back of the bus and got on with them other soldiers, right? All right, but y'all got tired of all that, said no, we're not going to have it. No more. We ain't doing it no more. Not anymore. No more. And y'all coming singing and dancing and carrying on, going to jail, giving speeches, we shall overcome and this and that. And y'all got the law changed. That was the civil rights movement. All right? And don't say you from Minnesota, sunburnt, Swede, Minnesota, nice. They didn't have the law in Minnesota, but when I was a boy growing up right in this community, there were hotels that black people couldn't go into, and restaurants. And they would get off on your face and say, we don't serve color here. And there was only about 10 members of the NAACP back then. You put them all in a phone booth, that's what brought it. That's right. So y'all got tired of all that, and y'all passed the law, so now y'all can go in the restaurant, if you got some money, you know what I mean. Hamburger, whatever y'all want, you know what I mean. And I was out in Mississippi 2 years ago. You can ride anywhere you want on the bus. Go up in a Holiday Inn. And they went, oh, Dr. White, oh, come on in. You know what I mean. And before that, they put me in jail going up in there, you know. So anyway, now we did survive, right? 2 periods of black history. Now, what I want you to do today is help me. We must have had some strengths to survive all of that.
Talk about it.
And land on our feet. So not only did we survive, but some of us thrived. Am I right or wrong?
That's right. You're right.
Give me a witness, you know, y'all like you know, my grandmother was a storefront preacher, and she was always talking about the church, that's all. Everything she was a church. Words, you know what I mean? But y'all did survive. Now what I want to know is Marcus said he got a flip chart there, and I think I got the markers in my case. Markers you have, and y'all gonna help me, somebody gonna write on the board. I want y'all to think for me. What enabled us to survive 250 years of slavery and 100 years of de jure and de facto segregation? What enabled us to survive? Tell me. And he's going to write on the board. I want to hear from you. Just shout it out.
Perseverance.
Family.
Perseverance.
Spirit.
Hold on. Perseverance. That is, we kept the faith and we stayed the course.
Unjust circumstances.
And family, somebody said family. Extended family, you got grandma, you know, big mama, you know, a mud deer and all them. You got a whole big old family. Family, what else? Injustice, culture and injustice. That we brought something from Africa with us and then we kept it going and added to it. So there was a black culture despite what the anthropology professor said at the U. He said there was no culture in the black community when I was a boy growing up. But they can't say that now. They still believe it, but they can't say it. And injustice. We knew that people was doing us wrong.
That's right.
They tried to tell us, oh, you happy, and we brought you here from Africa, and this and that, and y'all was dumb and ugly over in Africa, but now a white man done have some babies by your women, and y'all was better looking. And they tried to tell us this was a beautiful thing, being in slavery. And we said, hell no. Hell no, I don't care where you've been to school or not been to school. Injustice is injustice. What else enabled us to survive? Community. We had each other. If we didn't have nothing else, we had each other. and we looked out for one another. It takes a village to raise a child. And down there in Clarksdale, Mississippi, where our host is from, Marcus, the whole community looked out for the children. Am I right or wrong?
Yes, right.
That's right. And before you got home, your mama would know what you did all day long. Yeah, so we had community. We had faith. What else enabled us to survive? Humor. Oh yeah, oh yes, oh yeah. You got to laugh and cry when you go through this world. You know what I mean? Yeah. You need to cry. Oh, it's terrible. My husband run all left me. I ain't got no job and so forth. And half an hour later, that sister is laughing and dancing. You know what I mean? You got to laugh and cry. Tragic comedy. Okay, give me a couple more. Music. Oh yeah. It's been a long time coming, but a change gonna come. Yeah, Sam Cooke saw it, you know what I mean? And black people will break out music everywhere, in the church, and if you bring somebody to play some music now, these brothers and sisters get up here and start dancing. They're gonna put it down, man. You know what I mean? And a black woman from a fundamentalist church talked to me the other day, said she didn't dance, and then she took me to her church, and they started playing the organ and the piano, and that sister was up in the middle of the aisle. I guess that was religion. Give me one more. Leadership. That every generation, a group of somebodies, men and women, emerge to guide us to the promised land. Guide us, men and women. And they're talking about women's liberation and women being in leadership roles. Black women have been in leadership roles since the day we got here. Now you see what y'all already know the black psychologist. See what I mean? You didn't need me to come out here all the way from California to say something about black psychology. It's right there on that board. Now what we're gonna do, my job when I came into psychology was to package what was already there. It was already there. My job was just to package it. So we're going to hand out these outlines. And somebody's going to write up on the board what. Remember y'all said the person? We get some more items. They got machines. There ain't enough to go around. Somebody can run out. I want you to write those 7 things on Mother Teresa's out. Y'all said she's going to write them down. Next to the 7. So y'all perseverance, faith, family, courage, culture, justice, community, humor, music, good food, vision, leadership. So what my job was to condense all this into the basic principles of black psychology. So with me? So I didn't create them. It was already there. My job was just now to put it all together, right? Because y'all already knew what it was. And see, if you're a teacher, you try to draw things out of the student before you tell them what it is, right? Right? Mm-hmm. So I condensed it into 7 principles: improvisation, resilience, connectedness to others, spirituality, emotional vitality, gallows humor, and healthy suspicion of you-know-who. Now, I didn't say nothing about people being paranoid. Don't run down. Dr. White said all Negroes are paranoid. I said a healthy suspicion of you-know-who after 40 years. You really think I believe them? All right, now, the 7 strengths that emerged from our 400 years here. We brought some of them from Africa, and then we developed them here in America. Improvisation. Now, I learned about improvisation when I was nothing but 12 years old, living over in that 7 Corners neighborhood bordered by Cedar Avenue in Washington. And how I come to learn it was, as every black child of my generation sooner or later discovered something was wrong in America. One of y'all said injustice. Nobody taught me that in a history class, but we all discovered something was wrong. And I'll tell you how I come to discover it. The police in 1944, when I was a 12-year-old boy, 1944, were all what? Yeah. Oh, they was all white. Oh. There was 2 banks in my neighborhood, and the president of the 2 banks was what? White. Okay, and all the teachers in the Minneapolis public school system in 1944 were what? White. Oh, this was the land of the free and the home of the brave. And I saw black men standing on the corner out of work, right? Now, people are telling me to put my hand on my heart that this is the land of the free and the home of the brave, and I'm looking around, and I don't know words like contradiction. I haven't lived in you. I knew something wasn't right. Something was not right. Oh, man. And I became upset. I couldn't sleep at night. You know, I was angry and scared, you know, of what would happen to me as an adult. You know, I wanted what all American boys want. I wanted a nice family, a nice house to live in, a good job, and I was willing to pay my dues to get it. But I ran into this contradiction that I didn't understand. And I knew words, I heard words like prejudice and discrimination, but I didn't know what they meant. But anyway, I'm all upset. So it was summertime, and I had 3 things I was doing in the summer. One was I was playing on a basketball team. From the AAU, I was the point guard. The second thing was they had a Bible study and they served free lunch at the Bible study. So I'd read the Bible and get free lunch. That was cool. And then I'm going to tell you something else I was doing that my mother didn't quite find out about. But anyway, there was a girl living across the street. Now wait a minute, y'all see, now don't y'all get into that stuff. There was a girl living across the street, and her mother worked as a maid in a hotel downtown. And she caught the streetcar going down Washington Avenue, so I would peek out my window to see, not she caught it, her grandmother, caught the streetcar going to her job, and I would peek out the window to make sure the grandmother got on the streetcar, right? Right? Then I would run around to the back alley, and then the girl would pull me into the house, right? Now, don't go there. Don't do that. Don't run around here talking about Joe White was having sex when he was nothing but 12 years old. I didn't say that. What I said was the girl pulled me in the window, and we had unsupervised activity between 2 pre-adolescents. That's what happened, okay? So that was my summer, but now I'm angry and I'm upset. And my mother had 2 rules, as I said last night. One was no cursing by her children. I have 2 siblings, no cursing. And the second rule was no talking back. Now, as long as you obeyed those 2 rules, that sister was cool. She cut you some slack, you know what I mean? She was a good mom. But no talking back and no cursing. Now, I'm full of this anger, okay? And I don't know what to do with it, and I can't curse. So I invented a form of cursing called mumbling. So I would walk down the street bouncing this basketball, and excuse my expression, you know what I mean? So I wasn't exactly breaking the rules, but I was venting. You see, that's what they call it nowadays. I didn't even know words like that. But I was venting this anger. Now, it takes a village to raise a child, right? So them old ladies, back when I was a little boy, would sit on the front porch in the summer watching the children. Now here I'm bouncing the ball down the street, doing this mumbling, cursing, and this old lady, Miss Maud, was watching me. And no sooner than my mama came home from work that night, Miss Maud was sitting up in our little kitchen living room talking to my mother, talking about Dorothy, that boy of yours. He was cursing, I heard him. He was calling the mother word, and he said white folks wasn't going to give him a break in this world, and this and that. Well, I'd been caught red-handed, right? I was cursing. Mumbling is cursing. And I was caught. So my mother used to call me her little Joey, but when she wanted to discipline her children, she called them by their full first name. Joseph, come to Jesus meeting after dinner. Come to Jesus. And she asked me, were you walking down the street, bouncing that basketball, cursing, and saying white folks wasn't going to give you a break in this world? Well, I was caught. What was I going to say? And Miss Maud was sitting right there. You know what I mean? So I admitted that I had done it. And she told me, now look here, son, I'm going to tell you something. Improvisation. As long as you live in this world, you're going to be a little black boy. And the way you're going to make your way something is you're going to make something from nothing.
That's right.
Something from nothing. And she made me repeat it. And I was about to challenge her because I was a student going to school. I was no mathematical genius, but I knew my multiplication arithmetic tables, right? Nothing from nothing leaves what?
Come on.
Nothing times nothing leaves what? Nothing from nothing leaves something. You got to bring something if you want to be with me, right? So I was about to challenge my mother and talk back. She said, I know what you're thinking, boy. I know what you're thinking. I didn't say it. She said, I'm going to tell you what you said. You doubt your mother who loves you so much. I'm going to tell you what you're going to do. You're going to sit out under the tree in the back of the house for 3 hours every day, and you're going to think about how you can make something from nothing. Since you doubt me, you go out there and sit. Now, what she was doing was giving me a Zen rhythm. Now, that sister didn't know nothing about no Zen. She ain't never been a trainer. But she was giving me a problem that could not be solved logically. For the Zen, you got to step back and let the truth pop out. Wow. Now, see, if I was smart as y'all, I wouldn't have to sit out under that tree all summer long because I kept getting stuck. 0 plus 0 equals 0. 0 times 0 equals 0. I lost my spot on the basketball team. I lost my free lunch, and I lost my girlfriend all in one summer. And I still hadn't figured it out, but I was glad when school started. So what was that young mom? Y'all help me out. Y'all smarter than me. What was that young mom trying to tell me on that long ago summer afternoon? About what would I need to do to make my way in America? You all are working with youth. What's she trying to tell me?
Find the answer inside yourself.
That's right. That's what she was trying to say. It ain't out there. You got to look up in here.
That's right.
Yeah, out there, you done run into contradiction. Now she didn't say that, but that's what she meant. So what was she trying to tell me? Look inside myself and find what? Oh, find resilience. What else? She was trying to tell me that I would need to be creative. I would need to be innovative. I would have to seek out opportunity. I would have to be resourceful.
That's right. That's right.
But it was on me.
Yes.
And she laid it right back. It took me 13 years to figure that out. To be resilient, to be resourceful, to be imaginative. And some of you older sisters, and I ain't going to ask you what your age is. Women don't like to tell her age. Remember a song by Gladys Knight and the Pips? I got to use my imagination to make the best of a bad situation and keep on keeping on, right? And I guarantee you, if you teach these children how to be resourceful, imaginative, creative, problem solvers, sometimes it takes 2 or 3 tries to get it together, but it can be done.
Yes, it can.
And my mother looked at me and she said, make something from nothing. And I got stuck on that 0 plus 0, but 13 years later, by the time I was 25, I finally figured out what she was trying to tell me. And every time I've remembered that, I've been fine. And where I got in trouble in life was feeling I would be equal if I had the credentials.
No.
That the white man would give it up. Well, that was not true. They ain't going to give up nothing. You got to get yourself together. But anyhow, the next principle is resilience. That's the second principle of black psychology. You got to be able, if you're black in America, to bounce back from a setback.
That's right. That's right.
Bounce back and become stronger in the broken places.
That's right.
That's what I said to Jessica many years ago. Become stronger in the broken places. Not just to recover. You got to move beyond recovery.
That's right. That's right.
After you've been through death, divorce, your kids been put in jail and this and that. When you come out the other end, you're not the same as you were when you went in.
Wow.
Psychological maturity cannot be achieved until you have paid your due and become stronger in the broken places. You're not going to get through 80 years of life without getting knocked upside your head if you're black in America. So don't come running to me talking about what is injustice. Telling me it's injustice. I learned that when I was 12 years old. Now you got something else to tell me? Yeah, you know what I mean. So to bounce back from a setback and become stronger in the broken places. Are you with me?
That's good.
Are you with me?
Yeah.
And I'm going to read this poem I got up here somewhere. supposed to have your lesson plan out front. I'm retired, so I figured out I get my Social Security check every month. Y'all can do what y'all want. So I'm going to read this poem by this lady. She's come here and spoke several times here at the university and in the community. The lady, she's on television. She always looks like she's crying all the time. And I don't want she's crying. Maya Angelou. So y'all. She tried to capture this in a poem. That's what we got from this Black psychologist. Stronger in the brokenness. You may write me down in history. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. Right. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust.
Like dust. Right.
Still I rise.
Still I rise.
Resilience.
That's right.
You may shoot me with your words. You may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like air, I rise.
That's right. Woo.
Out of the husk of history's shame, I rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I am a black ocean, leaping and wide. Welling and swelling, I bear in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise, I rise. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear into a daybreak that's wondrously clear, I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. Woo! I am the dreamer
and the hope of the slave. Come on.
I rise,
yes.
I rise, I rise.
Yes.
And I don't want you running around here saying that I said life was all dark and dim. It's not all dark and dim, and it's not all pain and struggle.
That's right.
But my grandmother used to say in her church, storefront church, into each and every life some rain must fall.
That's right.
And you're not going to get away without the rain falling. No, no, no. And I remember the other side of it was a song that Mahalia Jackson used to sing. Old Mahalia, when she used to open up for Martin Luther King. She used to sing this song, How I Made It Over.
Yes.
How I Made It Over.
Come on.
My soul looked back and wondered. Not looks back, look back. Black grandma, look back and wonder how I made it over. Come out the other side stronger than you when you went in. The third principle is connectedness to others. Y'all mentioned black family. Now, y'all heard in your Psych 1A class, or will hear if you're a teenager, that Professor Freud, a brilliant psychologist, said sex was the deepest of all human drives. Didn't he say that? Psychosexuality 101A, right? Well, I beg to differ with Professor Freud. I think the need for human closeness is the deepest of all human needs. As I said to Jessica 15 years ago, from the cradle to the grave, the deepest of all human needs. And if you don't believe me, you go over to the youth and ask them to take you on to the hospital ward where they have those premature babies, the little bitty preemies, 2-pound babies, right? Some of y'all mothers know about this. And we have the technology to keep that baby alive.
That's right.
You know, we put that baby in the incubator, we can feed them intravenously, we got everything they need. You can put some vitamins all up in their system, right? But what do they tell those student nurses to do 4 or 5 times a day?
That's right.
Oh, the mechanics is one thing, but the human connection is another. Am I right or wrong?
Right.
Am I right or wrong? Right. And if the mother lives nearby, they want the mom to come over twice a day. They take the lady's blouse off and put a kangaroo pack on that young woman, right? And stick the baby in where? In the kangaroo pack. so the baby can feel the mother's heartbeat. Am I right or wrong? That ain't technology. Technology ain't everything, y'all. There's a human connection. Now, as we go through life in America, that human connection is satisfied in 4 ways. You got the family, y'all put that up there. You got same gender peers, right? You got girlfriend, boyfriend, right? And you got mentors. Now, those are the 4 human relationships. The family, same gender peers, girlfriend, boyfriend, or boyfriend, boyfriend, whatever, and the mentors as you go through life. Now, black family. Now, everybody knows, despite what they used to teach in sociology at the U, that black people got a different kind of family. We don't have 2 parents and 2.5 kids. That ain't our family.
Nope.
Our family has everybody and his mama in it. You got your cousin, you got your big mama, you got your play cousin, you got all kinds of people. And because we have 2 cultures in America, there's nothing but confusion. When I started at the University of California, Irvine, it was a brand new school, and we didn't have an auditorium probably no bigger than this here. So with our first and second graduate class, you could only have 5 invitations. 5. Now, I had been mentoring this boy since he was 8 years old. He was now 22, and he was fixing to graduate. And we needed 37 invitations because he wanted to bring his big mama, his grandmother, his daddy, his stepdaddy, and on down the line, cousin, this and that. So I had to go to the dean, and I had to get a chartboard out and explain to the dean a diagram of all 37 of these people to come to the graduation. You know what I mean? And let me tell you, don't tell me black people don't care about their kids, because that graduation started at 10 a.m. and those black folks came in from Watts in South Central LA. They was there at 7:30. They brought 2 of them portable picnic tables. And they had fried chicken, green beans, and beer and stuff. You know, I mean, Colt 45 and 2 decks of cards playing at the Midwest and they were happy when the sun went down. See what I mean? So that's your family. Now, you got 37 members of your family. I know there's somebody you can get along with in your family. And if you don't get along with your mama, then move down the street to your grandma's house. You can't get along with her, then move over to your cousin. But pretty soon you should find somebody that you can get along with and learn in human relations, right? Then we have same gender peer relationships. Now, the people who understand me best in this world are other black males. And the reason they understand me best is because we are both black.
That's right.
And we are both male.
Yes.
And I ain't saying women are bad or nothing. Now look, I was raised by a mama, grandmother, auntie. I've got 3 daughters, and I've been married twice. Now that's 8 women, but they don't understand. We argue with them. And then one day, I was about 50 years old. It took me 50 years to figure it out. They don't experience the world in the same way I do. And that's why we have difference of opinion. Not necessarily somebody is right or wrong. See what I mean? So, same gender peer. So when I meet a brother, I don't care if I've only known him for 5 minutes, there's 3 things we can get on the wire with and talk about. We can talk about white folks. We all got a story on that one. We can talk about sports. We all got a story on that one. And we can talk about women, right? And me and the brother will be off into it, man. Sitting in the airport waiting on a plane, you know what I mean? And this white lady I was traveling with, she said, "Oh, how interesting. You met this long-lost friend of yours. You guys were in such an animated conversation." I said, "I didn't know that, brother, about 5 minutes ago." So that's same gender peer. Then we've got the 92% of black folks, young people who are heterosexual. They get up into relationships. And what I can't seem to figure out is how we can't seem to include romance and sex in the 21st century. And let me tell you what I mean. I was, how many minutes have I got? 2 minutes? Okay. Sex in the 21st century. Back in the day when my grandmother was a teenager, they didn't have all this birth control technology, but they still had to get the two genders together if they wanted to reproduce the species, right?
That's right.
So they used to have church socials, and they would make ice cream and cookies, and the goal was not all this booty business, you know, and booty, 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 that's all you hear. The goal was to walk the girl home from the ice cream social.
That's what I'm talking about.
That was the goal.
Yeah.
It wasn't booty, 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 you know what I mean? You ate your ice cream and you walked your girl home, and I have this poem here, and then I'll shut up. And this is the rhapsody of romance. The rhapsody of romance. You're walking the girl home from the church. Oh. And the next day you're thinking about it. Seen my lady home last night. Jump back, honey, jump back. Jump back, honey, jump back. Held her hand and squeezed it tight. Jump back, honey, jump back. Heard her sigh, a little sigh. Saw a light gleam from her eye. And a smile go flitting by. Jump back, honey, jump back. Heard the wind blow through the pine. Jump back, honey, jump back. Mockingbird was singing fine. Jump back, honey, jump back. And when I reached my lady's door, I couldn't bear to go. Jump back, honey, jump back. Put my arm around her waist. Jump back, honey, jump back. Jump back, honey, jump back. Raised her lips and took a taste. Jump back, honey, jump back. Jump back, honey, jump back. Love me, honey, love me true. Love me well as I love you. And she answered, course I do. Jump back, honey, jump back. Jump back, honey, jump back. Yeah. And I hope you jump back a couple more times.
Jump back, honey, jump back. What a cutie pie he must have been. So it's not every day that we have the opportunity to ask the godfather of Black psychology anything you want to ask him. And of course, time is of the essence, so we'll give it about 5 to 7 minutes. But are there questions burning in you that you want to ask of Dr. White?
Ask me anything. My life's an open book. Stand up, please. Oh, yeah. Sean.
You know, I was looking at the Insight News, and they were talking about close to 40% of the men 16 to 25 years old in North Minneapolis are unemployed. And I wonder from your level of wisdom that you could share with us what we can do to work with men so they can be employed. I know there's been cuts in federal programs over the summer, but we have issues.
Okay, Sean, we've got a large percentage of men right around the corner here who are unemployed. And what Sean didn't add, but what you all know, and many of them are about to get police records or already have them.
That's right.
Now, the question is, what are we going to do? And as all of you know, we've got two issues that we have to bring together. One is there are systems operating in the community that prevent these young men from getting the work skills that they need.
Talk about it.
Systems operate.
Yep.
And when you have somebody 19 years old reading at the 4th grade level, that's not going to get it. You got to learn how to read and count and operate a computer. The other thing, so we're working on the systems. Superintendent of schools here, we got people in job training here. We're working on the systems. The second thing we have to work on is the internal motivation.
Yeah, that's
They
right.
have to internalize these 7 principles. So it's a two-way street. We got to work on the system, then we got to get the brother together. Now there's somebody running around here, and I don't know who it is, but if you find them, bring them to me. They're trying to tell these 6 and 7 year olds that it's not important to learn how to read. It's not important to learn how to count. It's not important to learn a computer. I don't know who's telling them that, but somebody is telling them that. And we got to begin to filter that message out and have every 4-year-old coming to this preschool understand that something's got to come from inside you. So we got to do our job on that. And if you find somebody telling these kids that it's not important to learn how to read, you're supposed to get your groove on walking down the street like that, you bring them to me. Because they can't do nothing to me, you know. They can call me Uncle Tom, sell out, you just shoot me and throw me in the grave, you know. Go ahead. No, I'll take the
No
next
one's going to shoot you and throw you in the grave. That's Anybody else? Oh, Dr. Gray, I'm going to go back here. You take the microphone at the podium, okay?
Yeah.
We're dancing, Dr. Gray. We're dancing.
What's your first name?
David.
Yeah, David. That's from last night, yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about like what you've seen in terms of the development of mass media over your lifetime and
Yeah.
like the psychology of how we see ourselves
Yeah.
as young folks of color.
I think for the black community, the mass media has been 75% negative. And why would I say that? On television, what you see are unattainable images. You see professional athletes, and Lord have mercy, these children playing this basketball this afternoon, sweeping off the court, they're not going to the NBA.
Right.
They better get a backup plan, and even if they go, they need to know how to count their money. So what you see is flashy jewelry, beautiful women, booty, 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 and this and that. So 4-year-olds are internalizing these messages before they even know what they mean. So we got to help our children develop a filter, to filter out the negative parts of an image and to filter in some more positive parts. But that stuff starts bombarding these children when they're 3, 4, maybe even 2 years old. And it influences, especially for the males, their definition of masculinity without responsibility. Go ahead. 2
All
more.
right, last question. Oh, Dr. White said 2 more?
Yeah. Anything. Well, while we're waiting, let's all, I got one more thing. One more thing. Josie.
Dr. Josie Johnson.
Thank you very much. I don't have a direct question, but I want to ask you, you were talking about the depth of early learning and racism, for a better word. What I think I've seen in this election of our president has been the deeply etched in the fabric, the attitudes that you have shared with us today that most people have. And I'm wondering, do you agree that the psychology that was taught so well from slavery forward creates the environment that the president currently is having to address?
Excellent. I think what has happened over the 400 years we've been here, and the Native Americans were already here, so let's call it 500 years. There's been a steady stream of psychology that says one set of people are better than the other. One set of people should make all the major decisions. One set of people should have the money and the privilege and so on. And then every generation they loosen up a little bit and let 1 or 2 of us through. And then they project that out and say, well, President Obama came from a one-parent family. How come you can't do it? What you doing sitting up in this prison in Stillwater? You know what I mean? How come you ain't Obama? You know what I mean? So they use that 1 or 2 people as the shield. And it's hard to change the deep, unconscious mind.
That's right.
It is very hard to change that. And America, maybe one of these days, will do some self-examinations. One of these days.